I think about half of them are here. There's the Croatian lineup. Toni Kukoc, Stojan Brankovic, Dino Radja, Danko Sveticanin, who starts today, and Vladan Alanovic. Pretty handy lineup, Lindsay.
Yes, I think it's a very impressive lineup. I'm not too sure how far they go deep on the bench, but their first five and the Australian five, there's no change there, with Shane Hill matching up with Andrew Gaze in the backcourt, and the front line.
USA, Tolliver and Rodriguez. So all is in readiness here for this game, and Australia has 2 wins under their belt, as does Croatia, but how they'd love to win this game, the Boomers, and go to the top of the pool. Now, if they win this game here, of course, they go to the top of the pool and they avoid crossing over against the USA. Not that that's a real problem later on anyway, but we'll explain that as we get further into the game. But here's the jump ball. Brankovic against Bradke, and Brankovic controls the tip. We'll have a look at some of the matchups, Lindsay. Look at the front line.
Well, Vlahov's given the job on Toni Kukoc. That's an assignment. He's guarding it. He's going to be defending a player who just signed a contract for $26 million.
Yeah, that's 35 million Australian.
So if you think about money value, I'm not too sure what Andrew Vlahov's salary cap limit is in Australia. There might be a margin there, but will certainly be a good test for him tonight.
Foul called on Tony Ronaldson in the opening couple of minutes. There'll be some nerves out there for the Australians, and you certainly can't blame them for that. I mean, talk about an away game in front of all these thousands and thousands of Croatians here. One of the problems we got here is seeing the game every time the flag's raised. But here's that man, Kukoc, that we're talking about, the $35 million Australian he got for 6 years at the Chicago Bulls. And straight underneath to find Dino Radja. And that is going to be the difficulty the Aussies face all night.
Well, Tony Ronaldson just lost vision for a moment, and that was enough for Kukoc. He's not just there for his scoring, but he's probably one of the best playmakers in this competition here. A man is open. He's going to get the ball to him.
Count the basket there to Mark Bradke on a goal 10 from Brankovic, and the first 2 points for the Aussies. They tie it up at 2 points apiece. Here's the drive from Mark Bradke. It's up to the, right on the top of its arc.
Not much margin there, but that'll be good for his confidence.
I thought it looked good first time, but when I see it on replay, it was a maybe. But Kukoc with Vlahov out on him. Into the veteran Alanovic. Kukoc is taking Vlahov all over the floor and fires up for 3. He can hit that all right. They've seen him hit so many in the finals for the Chicago Bulls. There's a sign in the crowd that said, Tony, you're underpaid. But immediate reply at the other end. That was a sweet shot coming from Bradke.
That certainly sends a message to Brankovic there that Mark Bradke has improved his range, and that jump shot from the free throw line will be acceptable for him.
Both team bringing up ball up the floor fairly slowly. Kukoc has been fouled, a reach-in foul. I think it's against Andrew Gaze. I'll wait for the signal.
Yes, that was on Andrew Gaze there. He was trying to give some help on Vlahov as Toni Kukoc decided to take it to the basket.
So here they are lining up for the out-of-bounds play, and Alanovic to Josip Brankovic. Radja, and can't make the 2. The rebound falls for Mark Bradke. There they go to Bradke again. Prepared to take his man on underneath. And got a goaltend call. The points will go to Andrew Gaze. And a shake of the head there from Stojan Brankovic. Have a look at it again. Terrific feed off between the Melbourne Tigers teammates. Up it goes, and that was right on the top of its arc as well. So Australia have not put a ball through the hoop. And in fact, they have from Mark Bradke's jumper, but 2 that have gone up above the rim have counted for 4 points. And that's where the game is being played, well above the rim here tonight, with this huge team from Croatia. And a turnover run down by Andrew Vlahov. Andrew Gaze was fouled on the way to the hoop. And he's asking for a goaltend again. The foul call against Josip Brankovic, who's, I'm told, Lindsay, is no relation to Stojan.
No, that's right. There's no relationship there. Maybe that's the same as Smith in Croatia, but a very talented guard. I think he blocked the ball on the way up there. The second shot might have been a bit above the basket.
You saw Andrew Gaze's free throw stats there. He's hit 20 of 21 now, 21 of 22 for the tournament. He hit 15 out of 15 against Cuba, where he had a 30-point game. He opened up with 32 points against Korea, and they'd love to get 30 from him tonight, but they're going to be pretty hard to get.
Well, it's a very good start from Australia, I think, certainly by contrast to the game that they played against Croatia in the Barcelona Olympics, where Croatia led from start to finish, and one of the issues here is a question of controlling the tempo of the match. And
Kukoc with a miss.
Yugoslavia, I think, are playing just a little bit more up-tempo than I expected.
Nothing from Andrew Gaze from outside the three-point circle, and a long court pass into the hands of Dino Roger. That's pretty hard to stop.
Well, that's what I say. I was expecting Croatia to walk the ball up the floor, especially in the first few minutes, to try to establish an isolation and work their big men. But clearly they've shown they're prepared to run as well. Couldn't
put your body on the line with the 7-foot centre coming at you from half court. Shane Heal goes in low to Tony Ronaldson, intimidated a little bit, but Ronaldson follows up and makes the two, and Australia stays in front by 10 points to 7. A very good start from the Boomers. First two games they had were crunch games. This is a game they'd love to win and go to the top of their pool. Doesn't mean a great deal next week, but Kukoc is fouled a long way from the hoop.
One of the toughest assignments here is for Andrew Vlahoff. When you've got the 6'9" player in Tony Kukoc handling the ball so much, he advances the ball down the floor. You would normally expect the smaller guards on the Croatian team to handle the ball, but in this case, Kukoc plays virtually like a guard. Now, from Vlahoff's point of view, he wants to pressure him down the floor to try to prevent him from influencing the start of the motion of the offense. And if there's enough pressure there, he gives it up to the smaller players. Then the toughest assignment he has is to try and prevent it from getting back to Kukoc, because most of the plays here are going to start with Kukoc. He'll be the man. It'll be the player who will make the penetration pass, the penetration drive. Brankovic, that's the small Brankovic, or Alanovic will be the ones that will be the receivers on the perimeter to take the perimeter shot. So Vlahoff needs to work hard to try to prevent the ball coming back from Kukoc. The other players can do the work.
Lindsay, what about the attitude of the Australians coming into this game? They had two games first up that they had to win, were vital to go through to the second round. This is a game they don't really have to win as far as the whole scheme of things goes. Will they feel perhaps a little looser going into this one?
Yes, I'm sure they will. That the Cuba game was life or death, and that's when the emotions get you, and you're worried about being a little bit too conservative, making mistakes. You can be a little bit inhibited of using your natural play. This is one of those games where you can come into it really with a feeling that you've got nothing to lose. They do have another message, though, that they want to try to perhaps get some revenge from the embarrassment that we had in Barcelona, and prove that that particular margin in that game was not a true reflection on the difference between these teams.
Yes,
so they do have a mission
40
in this
points
game.
then.
That's right. Well, I don't think this will be 40 points today.
Well, we certainly hope not, and we certainly hope we've got a positive result. For the Aussies, they've started off in extra fine fashion in the opening 4 minutes, 10 plays 7. The Boomers in the lead. Vlahoff looking for the steal from behind, and Kukoc is fouled on the way to the hoop. Disappointed in himself for not making the first-time shot, but he'll go to the line to shoot a pair.
Once again, Kukoc is capable of doing so many things there. He was able to receive the pass, a good crossover step and power to the basket. And as I said before, that the problem for Vlahoff in keeping the ball away from him is a monumental task.
Lindsay, we just saw a progress score on the screen. Canada leading Russia 33-28 at Copps Coliseum, where we just left in Hamilton. Now, that is a crunch game for the Australians as well. That will depend on who joins Australia in one of the pools.
Well, that game is very similar to this one. Both teams come into the match 2-0, and the winner of Canada-Russia goes to number 1 in their pool, and the winner of this one goes to number 1 in our pool.
Well, we'll try and keep you up to date with all that as this game goes on, but there's plenty of excitement here. 10-8 after Kukoc's free throw. And Andrew Gaze looking to post up down low. Shane Heal with a long three-point effort that doesn't go, and Kukoc it is who cleans it up off the boards. And the big guard brings it down to be met by Andrew Vlahoff again. Looking to take him down low, but they double him low, and a big turnover there that mishandled from Stoyan Brankovic, and Vlahov hands off for Heel again for 2, and Shane Heel, the Brisbane Bullets guard, makes it 2 more for the Aussies, and they lead it 12 points to 8. What a great start.
A good confident shot there in the transition. There was no second thoughts about pumping that 0-1 up. It was a good decision.
Kukot's leading Vlahov all over the floor, and outside shot that doesn't fall for Vladan Alanovic. Andrew Gay is looking to take his man on. That's Josip Brankovic, and they go inside to Mark Bradtke. Talk about take your man on. A little hook shot there from Mark Bradtke after he showed the fake. Results in a foul, and it's a foul against Stoyan Brankovic. And the more pressure, Lindsay, they can put on Brankovic, the whole better this scheme of things can be. Well,
I thought that Mark Bradtke handled that situation very, very well. I mean, Brankovic can be an intimidating factor on the inside, but he maintained his composure. Another good crossover step and drew the foul.
So 2 shots to Vlahov to try and extend the Australian lead, and he's sweet off the free throw line. So they're 3 of 3 off the stripe, the Aussies. I'm sorry I called him Andrew Vlahov in the excitement of things. Mark Bradtke, 14 points to 8.
Well, that's better than the courtside announcer. He called him Ulahoff.
Well, I guess we all have difficulty with some foreign names, but Andrew Vlahov is not too foreign to us. Turn around from Brankovic that doesn't fall, and Tony Ronaldson chips in for the board, and the Australians trying to make numbers up the floor. Vlahov behind the back. Plenty of confidence there. Inside they go to Vlahov, the feed from Bradtke, but plenty of intimidation from the big defensive effort. Oh, Bradtke again. Gets it up there, but not in.
Oh!
Gee whiz.
Oh.
That's an offensive foul. It has to be, and they left Mark Bradtke on the floor. The boos go up from the crowd here, but we'll have a look at that again, I hope. We have no control over what they show, but have a look at it. I'm sure they'll show that again, and you just cannot do that when you've got the basketball. Getting rid of Bradtke. Lucky it only went across his chest.
Officially, that should almost be called an intentional foul. If you do that and miss, it's a violation. You do that and hit, well, that can be an intentional foul.
And it can be a broken jaw too. And we've got another foul. This goes against Josip Brankovic. So the Croatians starting to lose it just a little bit here. Another quick foul against them. Players racking them up, and all this helps the Boomers' effort. The Aussies being paid for their endeavours here. Let's see if they can pay with a basket. Andrew Gaze for 3, launches it, but too long. Now they'll dig into their defensive efforts again. Been fairly predictable so far. It's either Kukot's taking it to the hoop, or they go low into Raja or Brankovic. It's Raja on the turnaround and makes the 2.
Well, Tony Ronaldson was trying hard to deny that pass on the inside, but the greater strength and position of Raja prevailed. Once you get the ball on the inside there, then it's very, very hard to contain the opposition.
Almost a turnover. Well done, Mark Bradtke, to keep that alive and have the presence of mind to slap it to Shane Heel. Ronaldson for 3. He can take that, but can't hit it this time. And the Croatians spill it over the end line. Stoyan Brankovic had a pretty easy little pick-up there, and just a sign of a little bit of nerves out there. It's a big time, and maybe this big crowd is putting pressure on their own team. Into Gaze, and Josip Brankovic has been set out there, obviously to guard Andrew Gaze. They made a change in the starting 5. Little jump hook from Tony Ronaldson that goes down. 16 points to 10. The Boomers lead it.
Well, we know Tony Ronaldson can do that little dinky jump hook on the baseline, but we haven't really had the information as whether he can do it against the likes of Brankovic. That was a great move there.
We've got the information now. We've got the information that Kukot's can shoot as well, but unsuccessfully that time, as Bradtke pulls in yet another board. Up to Vlahov, and can't quite score at the tip that comes from Ronaldson. Doesn't go down. Sort of shot that the Australians have to make, and immediately Croatia's Sveticanin comes back and punished them at the other end. And it's still a 4-point lead to Australia. 16-12 have been playing 8 minutes here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Has to be a foul on that play. No basket, the referee says. Nothing on the continuation. The American referee immediately said no basket, but he turned his back before the ball went through the hoop.
Well, to get a continuation, you've got to get a start. I mean, that foul was on the drive, so that would have been a very big bonus if we get the call on that one as well.
Well, he's made it good by the fact he didn't give free throws for it, so he's obviously being consistent with calling it prior to the shot going up. Not this time for Mark Bradke, but a tip from Ray Borner, who's come in. Borner taking out Tony Ronaldson from the lineup. And Australia calling on all their experience here. Good start from the rookie Ronaldson, but Borner, they go to the experience in the big games like this. Shane Heal, another World Championship rookie out there, having to play some defense. And underneath the Dino Raja, the big bodies come in. And who's the foul on? It's against the gold team.
Well, Ray Borner got a break defensively there with some good help from Mark Bradke. Borner probably should have shut out the baseline. Once that drive was made, then Mark Bradke could have been involved in the foul situation there, but avoided the basket but drew the foul.
So Dino Raja heads for the Croatian bench, and there's the scoreboard, 16 points to 12 in a terrific start for Australia. 8.5 minutes into the game, and we're playing here at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, the home of the famous Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team. Lindsay, I was looking at the ceiling before, and they've got their Stanley Cup pennants all over the ceiling, but it's a long time since they put one up there.
Well, it's a little bit like Madison Square Garden and or the Boston Garden, where the Celtics have got all of their pennants up, and it's very impressive when you see in a sport like ice hockey, and the Toronto Maple Leafs have won so many championships, but it's been a long time between drinks. Started in 1932, a lot of flags there, 3, 6, 9, 11 flags to 1967, but they haven't made it since 1967. Came close last year, but didn't quite make it.
Well, there's Barry Barnes, and what a job for him. I mean, the biggest job for him right down there is making himself heard to his players, because the noise level in this team is huge. Mark Bradke having a bit to say on the bench, and manager Tom York having a bit to say as well, and Tom doing a great job here with this Australian Boomers team.
Well, Tom won't be involved in any of the strategy, of course. He might be involved in the encouragement. But I noticed at the other end with the Croatian teams that Coach Jurgen there, he was really trying to get his players to calm down and get them to take a little bit more time with their play. Perhaps take a little bit of the emotion out of the game. It's pretty hard to do that when 10,000 screaming fans here. But they've just been surprisingly small percentage in their shooting, considering last night they shot 80%. But, right now they're only shooting at 40%.
Australia shooting at 33%, but they have the lead in the basketball game, and there's a miss from the red lineup. Heel into Borner, and the shot was there for Mark Bradke again, but he decides to go inside with it, and it falls for Andrew Vlahov. So another chance here to score for the Aussies. They'll take every one of these with glee. Gay's trying to get loose of Josip Brankovic, and Shane Heal all the way to the hoop. Well, that is a courageous drive.
Well, that's almost an in-your-face job there with Brankovic, the intimidator. But Shane Heal wasn't having any of that, just softly caressed it off the board, gave it a good arch.
I think it was a surprise factor there too, so certainly surprised for me, and I'm sure it surprised the defense that he had the cheek to come in there. But scoring at the other end is Dino Raja, and Lindsay, you can see by the emotion from Dino Raja there just how serious this game is.
Well, they're certainly taking it very seriously, and for Australia, they want to control the tempo of the game, and you control the tempo of the game with your defense. That's twice Ray Borner has made a defensive faux pas there. The first time he allowed his man drive baseline, that time he allowed him to get the ball close to the basket. I'm not minimising the difficulty there is, it just emphasises how tough it is at this level.
Well, couldn't make the three-point play. Andrew Gay's looking to take his man on and make him play some defence, see if he can force a foul out of him. Andrew would love to step to the free throw line a few times, particularly on the free throw shooting form he's in. Borner, relay pass on to Bradke, who's a long way from the hoop. Spreading it out, Heel had a quick glance at the three and decided not to. They run some time off the clock. The clock comes down to 5 seconds now. Gaze will have to pump it up there. Gets it up off the baseline. He was aware of the time, but nothing doing there for the Australians. Again, it's Raja who gets down the floor so quickly for a 7-footer, doesn't he?
We've got a little bit of a start on Ray Bourne at that time, who was trying to fight for a rebound, a little bit slow to get back. I think Shane Hill might have been the one to hold the fort there temporarily if he could, until Ray Bourne got back there.
Croatia closes to within 2. And this deliberate offensive set again from the Australians. Gaze was open there for a second, but Bourne couldn't make the pass, and we've got a foul against the defence again. So they're certainly racking them up. That'll be the 6th team foul against Croatia. It's also 3 against Josip Brankovic. 3 against Josip Brankovic, and that's 1 against Tony Kukoc. So Brankovic, who's been sent out there to guard Andrew Gaze, they might have to shuffle people in and out on him. Vlahov gets a nice shot there and makes room for himself, but not enough room there to grab a rebound as Raja pulls one in. Drive to the hole, and almost a 2 there to Zurich. And it will be a Croatian ball out of bounds. In they come. 3-point bomb goes up from the corner, and Danko Sveticanin for Croatia gives them the lead at 19 points to 18. First lead of the ball game to the team in red, white and blue. The crowd go absolutely nuts here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Shane Hill with a huge 3 in reply to grab the lead back for Australia.
Well, that gets the crowd sitting down again, and that was a great play from Shane Hill. One of the things that's difficult for the Australian team, where they're normally trying to run screens and get free away from the ball, they're finding all sorts of difficulty accepting the screen as the players will push and fight over the top. It's very hard to do some work on the inside.
Another foul against the Croatians as you see the general Phil Smythe come in. And Shane Hill is being rewarded for that last 3 with a seat on the bench, but I think this is purely a tactical change right here, and a rest for Shane Hill, who's been out there for 11 and a half minutes with that all-important job of bringing the ball up the floor, and they brought the experience of Smythe in. Bourne was open momentarily there. Bradke wants it down low, gets it from Gaze. And Gaze has to go a long way from the hoop to get the ball back. Clock comes down under 10 seconds. So they run Bradke on the inside and misses the dunk. Josip Brankovic away on the layup and makes it. Again, one of those 4-point swings.
This team will be as good as any in the world at punishing you for making a mistake. That's 2 4-point plays we've had in the game. That is 2 that we should have got, 2 that the other team provides you with a punishment for missing.
Vlahov hits the 3, and another 3-point lead for Australia.
Well, Vlahov was due to get a break. He's had a couple of unlucky shots there that rimmed out. That time it was in his favour. Gets the roll.
So Andrew Vlahov grabbing the lead back for Australia. Every time the Australians score, they quieten the crowd, but then, of course, at the other end, it's a different matter. Danko Sveticanin, another 2 for Croatia. 1-point game, and there's the time remaining, 7.5 minutes. So Australia with 3 of the starters still out there.
Sveticanin with a good size advantage. That was a good example, as I was talking about before, with the way that they fight through the screens and make it tough for you to make a cut.
Well, Sveticanin called for the foul on that occasion. He's going to put Smythe on the line to shoot the 1-and-1. But we're going to have a timeout first here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Australia with a 24-23 break as we watch the replay on that last Sveticanin reverse layup underneath the hoop. And Smythe, there's not much he can do about that with the size factor involved. But it's been a great start for Australia, Lindsay.
Well, I think this is as good as what we could possibly have hoped for. Getting a good start, there's enough pressure there for the defence, and the great thing is that the Australians are not intimidated by the reputation or the talent or the size of the Croatians, and they're playing their game. It's a very physical game. The work that they have to do in fighting through screens and combating the holding and pushing and shoving, the referees clearly have allowed them to play that, and it's going to have to be fairly strong. That like the last play there, they did call a foul. That was a fairly heavy foul. Australia would like them to be a little bit more sensitive on those calls, but by and large, a very good start for Australia. The fitness will play a part as it gets later in the game. the depth of talent coming off the bench with Phil Smythe coming and give Shane Heal a break. Ray Bourne has been able to rotate with Andrew Vlahoff. I'm not too sure how long it'll be before Mark Bradke need a spell, because none of those players can see out 40 minutes at this tempo.
Well, Andrew Gaze had to play 40 minutes last night, and he'll be called upon to play a lot of minutes here tonight, so he's certainly going to feel it in the legs in the second part of the second half. But when the players come back to the floor, they leave the bench now. We'll see Phil Smythe shoot the 1-on-1, and just by way of explanation, I know we've got a lot of new viewers today and who haven't seen a lot of basketball, and probably those who are confused, who are used to watching the National Basketball League. But in the two 20-minute halves, each team is allowed up to 7 fouls. Once you hit the 8th foul, as Croatia has now, you get to shoot 1 and 1. That is, you shoot the first, and if you make it, you get a second. But if you miss the first, that's all she wrote. Now, Croatia has 8 fouls, and Australia has 6 at this stage. So Australia still has 1 foul to give. Now, what a record that is, Lindsay. 345 games for Australia.
And still doing it as well as ever.
Lining up at the free throw line. All the pressure in the world here at Maple Leaf Gardens, with this hostile crowd against him, and lining up and hitting a pair of free throws to stretch Australia's lead to 3. 26 plays 23. And he has to guard Alan Komasets, who's come in for the Croatians. Josip Brankovic still playing with those 3 fouls. Kukoc go to the hoop and use the body so well. Vika Zuric for Croatia trims that lead to 1. It's where most of the Croatian points have come from so far. The backdoor cut from Andrew Gaze. Smythe held back on the pass, so there was a bit of danger in it. Posting up low, Ray Bourne looking to dump on the inside, and then takes the baseline jumper and shot it about a foot short of the basket. Croatia with a chance to take the lead right here. Had the lead once. Australia pinched it straight back. Kukoc spins through the hoop. Can't make it though. It keeps the ball alive, and it falls in the hands of Smythe. Looks up and saw Gaze in front of him, but also saw 4 red singlets and pulled it back. Gaze looking for the drive to the hole. No basket, the referee says. He calls a travel. Andrew's probably a little unfortunate there. He got a bump on the way through as well.
It's a little bit hard to maintain your footwork when you get a bit of a bump, but there's a little bit each way there. I think Andrew was forcing that drive, and could have gone either way. No serious damage.
Also trying to force the 4th foul out of Josip Brankovic.
And that's unusual for Kukoc to make a passing error like that. He's complaining about the fact that the player was held. There's a lot of that going on in this game.
So Tony Ronaldson back into the ball game. Ray Bourne is out. So the lineup with Smythe and Gaze in the backcourt. Vlahoff, Bradke and Tony Ronaldson up front. So the starting front line is back in business. Gaze, no shot there for him. Quick shift of the ball to Vlahoff. Tries to take it down the middle and grabs the rebound back. Andrew Vlahoff, and it falls for him. It hung up there for a long time.
It looked like it wanted to come out for a while, and once again I think that was a very hard-earned basket. A lot of pressure on the defense. Vlahoff handled the pressure well.
Well, Andrew had his problems last night in the Cuban game in the early part of it, but he's having a great start to this one. Raja. 3-point shot that comes from Brankovic. That's Josip Brankovic from a long way out, hits the 3 and ties the ball game up at 28 points apiece. Gaze looking for the screen and roll with Bradke, and it's a long way for Mark Bradke. Can't hit it, and Josip Brankovic grabs it again, but was going to try the baseball pass and held it back. Now Brankovic becomes the ball handler to Kukoc. Komasets, Smythe's on him. Backing the ball up, Raja trying to back Bradke up, try and hold his ground, but just too smart. The Boston Celtics centre, Dino Raja, makes 2 and grabs the lead for Croatia again. 3rd lead for them. 5th lead change of the ball game. Smythe, and we've got a foul, and it's gone against Josip Brankovic. Should be number 4 on him.
We can see a strong pattern in the way that the Croatians are playing. It's a very hard pressure on the man trying to make the play away from the basket, fighting through screens. And at the other end of the floor, that it's a very simple offense, that you don't have to worry too much about what goes on. Get the ball on the inside. As soon as you draw some help from the outside, as Brankovic showed there before, they kick it out, the man can make the automatic three. The only way you can defend that is to stop it from getting on the inside in the first place, and that is a very difficult task.
The foul, in fact, was called against number 6, Komaset, so Brankovic stays with his 3 fouls, but 2 clean ones off the free throw line for Andrew Gaze, and the scores are locked together again. Vlahov rarely has to guard someone this far from the basket. But again, it's Raja trying the same play and a turnaround and draws the foul out of Mark Bradke. Now that will be the 7th team foul for Australia. So now they go to the bonus situation, but 4 minutes to go in the first half. In fact, it's a 2-shot foul.
You could almost call this an NBA type offense, where they isolate the man for the one-on-one. If you draw defensive help, they flip it out to a man who can be automatic from the perimeter. Requires very quick hands on the outside to rotate and cover the man, or a very, very strong defensive effort one-on-one. Raja, instead of trying to get the ball inside close to the basket, has come out along the baseline to receive it and then just works his man one-on-one as he's ready to pivot and he gets close to the basket. Bradke needs to hold him out further if he can.
Raja's first successful free throw. He's 1 of 4 from the stripe, and Croatia in front again. Ronaldson looked a long one. The defense closed on him. Bradke. Raja will go all the way to him now. He's seen him attempt a couple from the outside and make one. Australia using the clock again. It comes down to 5 seconds as Vlahov rolls it off. Andrew Gaze was willing that one in at the baseline. It didn't fall for him. And there's Andrew, who is almost a cheerleader for that ball. Timeout again. 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. And for those who are watching their first game of this 12th World Championship of Basketball, wondering why there are so many timeouts, there are 4 timeouts forced in each half of the game. 4 timeouts forced for television purposes by the NBA, who are running this tournament in conjunction with FIBA. So the coaches have plenty of work to do. Almost give a coach laryngitis, something like this. Lindsay, they have to talk more than they do in most games.
That's right. It's certainly tough under these circumstances, but what a wonderful contest this is. There's some problems to be solved, both physically and strategically. And right now, of course, as the score indicates, it's near enough to even. The Australians have to try to handle the big guys around the basket, close to that. It's a tough one-on-one assignment, whether you're receiving the ball from the pass or whether the big man just drives the ball in, not necessarily quickly, but jockeys their way through by reverse pivoting and powering. And the worry is that if you try to help out on that too early, they'll turn the ball over in the perimeter play. But the best thing I think that can happen there for the Australians is to work very physically on denial, and if they contain them to a moderate percentage in that half-court game, it then depends on the Australians having an efficient offense themselves. Right now, their shooting percentages are below what is necessary, but there's so much pressure on every play, you can expect that. The question will be whether Croatia will be able to maintain the same sort of pressure throughout the game as well. A few cuts away from the ball, just try to get some pressure releases to open up a few more clear shots at the basket will help Australia. But the Croatians' defense right now is very difficult to handle, and the matter will be is whether they can sustain that.
Well, as they line up for the one-on-one again from Andrew Vlahov, looking at some of the key stats in the game, Dino Raja leads the Croatian scoring with 13 points, 13 of the 31. The Australians have spread the scoring pretty well with Gaze, Bradke with 6 apiece and Andrew Vlahov with 5. The Australians sponsored by Caltex for this tournament, and we welcome the sponsorship of the Caltex company getting behind the efforts of Australian basketball. And Andrew Vlahov gives Australia that 1-point lead again. Josip Brankovic in low to Raja again. You can almost count on them going in that direction. And stepping to the hole and scoring is Komasets. and the lead changes hands again. Croatia 33, Australia 32. Vlahoff underneath to Ronaldson was a super pass.
Well, they're pretty rare when the player was unable to fight through that screen, and you wondered whether the feeder was able to see him early enough. Ronaldson did the job.
So again, a lead change. I'm not going to try and keep track of them anymore. They'll be, the way this game is going, we're going to see plenty of them. Shane Heal getting ready to check back in again for the Australians. Slip it out into the hands of Kukoc, and steps and shoots and nothing doing, but it's a Croatian rebound to Adrian Komosec. 35-34, so Komosec grabbing a couple of baskets for Croatia to give them a lead again. Smythe to Vlahoff, in low they go to Bradke to put some pressure on Raja, but the pressure was all on Bradke. He had to put some arch on that to get it over the top of the big man, and away comes Croatia again. Oh, Smythe left on his back, and normally called a charge, but not on this occasion. Count the two to Komosec, and Vlahoff leaves the ball behind, so a turnover. Here's problems, Komosec again. So 4 straight baskets to Adrian Komosec, and Croatia jumped to a 5-point break at 39-34. They busted out so quickly, and Australia was in the lead just moments ago. Bradke makes the jump hook, and away comes Kukoc. Again, not that time for Josip Brankovic.
Well, I think you can give credit to the Croatians for getting that break, but you can also have some sympathy for the Australians there. Phil Smythe was doing a good job defensively, got knocked down with size and power, was taken advantage of at the other end of the floor. Australia looked like they were ready to reply. Little fumble that can be handled under this pressure opens up the little break for Croatia now. A 5-point margin does seem to be big, but it does need the pressure now on Australia to get that back, because once Yugoslavia get a break and they control the tempo, that'll be much more difficult for Australia.
Lindsay, I talked about last occasion there was a timeout, about 4 timeouts being forced in a half. This time the timeout was definitely called by the coach.
Yes, you see, what was important there, that the Croatians can develop a little bit of momentum, and it would be very dangerous for Australia to try to get back that advantage or that lead straight away and cause another area. They have to make sure every time they're down on offense it comes a high percentage play, minimise the turnovers, contest the boards, because any time they don't contest the rebounds, then the Croatians are able to get it out and run the transition game very, very effectively. We've got to confine them to a half-court game, and that means contesting every rebound and trying to improve the offensive percentage in our shooting. It's still at 34%, and that's below what is needed. Croatia's up to 56%. That's too high for us.
There's an indication of the kind of support that's in this crowd as we pull out and get a better look at it. Still plenty of empty seats, but I would reckon this place is about 75% full, and most of those are in for the team in red, white and blue. Have a look at that rebound underneath from Komosec, and that's what started his, well, that was the second of his run of 4 baskets. And the shot that should have been made from Gaze, stick back from Mark Bradke, and that stops the run. Now the defensive resources of the Australians will be called upon. 1:13 out from half time. They've stopped the run. Now they've got to make a couple of defensive stops and score at the other end. It's back to 3 points. Kukoc. And you've got to pay tribute to the job that Andrew Vlahoff has done on Kukoc. Josip Brankovic takes it the hole and scores. They can come at you in so many ways. Andrew Gaze looking to take Kukoc and his man Brankovic on then. Shane Heal back in the ball game, slings one up there, and away come the Croatians again. Raja, straight down the middle they go with Ivica Đurić. The fast break is really killing Australia at the moment. 7-point break as Australia pulls it up. There's very little differential between the game clock and the shot clock here. So Shane Heal milking it right down. But Australia really needs to score on this play right here. So there's the clock. You can keep it on your eye on it on the screen. They get the shot up. Andrew Gaze hits the 3. and they really needed that. No time for Croatia to score before the half, but what a big basket right there for Andrew Gaze to give them the momentum going into the break. A scoreline of 43 plays 39. Lindsay, that was a big basket.
Yes, it was, and what a wonderful game this has been. There's 4 points the difference in a very, very high standard game. Australia's shooting percentage has been a little bit below what they need, but their defence has been committed. It's been a very physical and emotional effort. When you think of the matchups, Raja, Bradke, Brankovic, Blauhoff, Kukoc, quality players there. We're talking about equivalent to the best in the world, and to be 4-point margin in this game is very, very encouraging, and I think that they've still got more left in it, and this margin can be reversed in the second half if just a few of those shots drop.
Okay, Lindsay, we'll give our voices a break as we try and strain to be heard over the top of this crowd right here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, where Croatia at half-time in this Pool B game, 43 lead Australia, 39 as we take a break. First half stats as the players come back onto the floor. And Lindsay, the one that stands out to me is the fact that Australia has actually out-rebounded Croatia.
Yes, that's right. They've done extremely well on the offensive boards. Getting 10 offensive boards against a team like Croatia is a tremendous boost, and you can credit Andrew Vlahoff and Mark Bradke for most of those. But they're in there competing. But it's not just the rebound. Sometimes it's the key ones that count. A couple of missed shots allowed the Croatians to get rebounds that led to fast breaks, and they're the ones that you want to compete.
Okay, about to get underway because the key stat is the one that's on the scoreboard, 43-39. Croatia leading it as a result of that 3 from Andrew Gaze right before the halftime break that trimmed the lead back to 4. But Croatia not able to score first time down the floor. And a good chance for some of these players to rest at halftime. I imagine there would have been some tired people out there. Tony Ronaldson scores the first basket of the second half for the Boomers, and it's 43-41.
Well, that's a major basket because Australia definitely needs a good start to this second half to ensure that Croatia doesn't get a little bit of momentum, and you know, 6 or 8 point lead in a game like this is going to be very, very difficult to recover.
And Raja turns the ball over, gives the ball back to the Australians. So 2 times down the floor they've repelled Croatia, and a chance here for Australia to tie the ball game up again or even take the lead if they can hit a 3. Ronaldson in the corner to Vlahoff to take his man on, take him to the hole, can't make it, and it's Ronaldson who gets it back for Australia. Gaze dumping it on the inside, and they play with patience, keep the ball on the move. Oh, off the hands of Ronaldson. The feed from Vlahoff. Ronaldson was a bit hot for him.
Oh, it was deflected by the defensive player on Vlahoff as well, so that made it hard to handle. And that's only the Australia's 4th turnover, so that's a very good statistic at this stage of the game, especially against this level of defense as well.
Especially against a team that'll absolutely sting you for any turnover at the other end. Kukoc resumes that battle here with Andrew Vlahoff and leaves the ball on the front of the rim and over the back. Maybe a foul on Dino Raja. In fact, it is. So Raja comes up for a foul, much to the annoyance of this huge crowd here. Well, so again, they're not able to score. Here it is.
Credit the American referee for that. That's one that just about every American referee will call, but they don't make that call too much in Europe.
Into Ronaldson was a tough one to pick up and scrambled it, and Bradke got a hand on that, and Andrew Gaze cleans up the crumbs and looks to take the defense on, and then dump on the outside was a good decision. He gets his feet set for 3 and hits it again. You can't give Andrew Gaze that much time, because while a lot of players will talk themselves out of a 3, Andrew will just groove his way in with that, and the lead goes back to Australia after 2 minutes of the second half. They've started the second half like they started the first. Bradke going all the way out to Kukoc this time, and they dump on the outside. Same sort of play at the other end, and it works for them as well. The shot going down from Tomasets. Mark Bradke comes back with a huge smile all over his face.
Tomasets is now 5 from 5 with those types of shots. You wonder how long he can keep up that sort of percentage. But great technique, very cool player in a crisis.
Dumping on the inside this time. to Stojan Brankovic, and Brankovic makes the dunk. They've kept Brankovic fairly quiet. In fact, that's his first points of the ball game. Bradkey taking Brankovic on and has the shot blocked. Brankovic asked for it to go back the other way, but they've done a very good job on that man at the defensive end. 48 plays 46, Croatia in front, and there's some worry lines on the coaching staff of the Croatian team. An offensive foul called against Tony Ronaldson, trying to set the pick. Substitution coming from the Croatian bench, and back comes Vladan Alanovic. Out goes Josip Brankovic. So we'll look to see who picks up Andrew Gaze. It'll probably be Alanovic. Gaze in the meantime goes out on Komasets. Along the baseline they go, and too easy there for Dino Raja, the high scorer. He's got 15 for the game right now. He's the one they really haven't been able to stop, but they have aimed a lot of the offense at him. Ronaldson for three. Swish! 50 plays 49, so Australia closes to within one again. Time gone, 3.5 minutes in the second half. Alanovic to Komasets, the man with the hot hand. Alanovic thought about the three, but they go baseline through Kukoc. Not a particularly good shot, but followed up by Dino Raja. Pretty hard to stop when you got a 1-2 punch like that.
Well, what they have to stop is the drive in the first place, to allow the man to take it that far.
Andrew Gaze, that almost went down the chute, but it spills to the Aussies, and Blahoff. Ronaldson, first time shot, probably would have done better to move that ball on the perimeter. It's easy to say in hindsight. We got a foul against the Australians. It was Andrew Blahoff was caught in no man's land on the way through with his back turned.
But the foul was on Shane Heal there on the drive before the collision at the finish. That was a very dangerous sign for two quick threes going up for the Australian team. That's you're really living by the sword when you do that. But it's all right if you've got some steadiness. The shot that was taken by Andrew Gaze earlier is typically the one that you want to take. But then a couple of quick ones there with no rebound. You lead to the fast break the other end of the floor. Very dangerous signals there, and this timeout is very appropriate to get them back on track, stay with the half-court game, make a little adjustment defensively, because both Raja and Kukoc have been successful with the baseline drive 3 times in a row. That has to be contained.
3 double-figure scorers for Australia. Andrew Gaze with 12, Tony Ronaldson with 11, and Mark Bradkey with 10. Bradkey's got half a dozen rebounds to go with his 10 points. But the man doing the damage for Croatia is Stojan Brankovic with 17, and Komasets has 11. And there's Tony Kukoc in the middle of your screen, star for the Chicago Bulls, but not getting his own way here at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, where he could be playing in the very near future, with Toronto Raptors coming into the NBA. Andrew Gaze on the bench, and Barry Barnes there with the instructions, and done a very good job, Coach Barnes, under a lot of pressure. I mean, it hasn't been easy for him. They had that first game against Korea where he might have hoped to get a little bit of an armchair ride, but Australia only won that by 2, and he had to work hard right to the finish. And then they were able to regroup and come out and beat Cuba last night, and then back here against Croatia. So the quality of the opposition just goes up, and Australia is meeting all the challenges at the moment. Repel the challenges of Korea, then Cuba, and now taking on the might of Croatia. Blahoff out in the passing lane to stop that ball going to Kukoc. Lesson for all defensive players. It's the best way to play defense, is just keep the ball out of the hands of your man. Raja trying to back it in. Get the ball through Brankovic's hands into Komasets. And down low they go. And again, it's Dino Raja. And it's just an indication of what sort of pressure the is under out there. Have a look at the foul. It goes against Mark Bradkey. And the boos go up from the crowd. I'm just looking at the monitor. Lindsay, what's the ruling down there?
That was a technical foul.
I didn't see that happen.
Well, there was a foul called, and what happened, they said there was no score. Complaint from the Croatians led to the technical. The foul was on the drive, not on the shot. They complained about that, so the technical.
So as a result, at the other end, it's Andrew Gaze to shoot 2, plus possession from half court, with it being a bench technical foul.
And that was a bonus.
So it could be a 4 or 5 point play here, and Australia trail by just a point. Gaze along the baseline, but they can't go to him. They've covered that up pretty well. Oh, Tony Ronaldson setting the screen, and the man went right over the top of it. Ariane Komasets.
You might recall I mentioned the first half how well the Croatians fight over the top of screens.
There's the screen to
try and deny the cutter from getting the ball. At that time it was a very good screen. He never had time to fight over, but a very physical clash. And you just wonder how long they can keep that going. There's a lot of bodies finishing up on the floor in incidents like that.
Might feel a little pain around the sternum when he wakes up tomorrow morning, but they go down to Vlahoff, and it opened up for him momentarily, then it closed. Again behind the back to Andrew Gaze, over the top of the head to Vlahoff, so a little bit of showboat. See if it comes up with 2, and blocked. The shot from Ronaldson was blocked by Dino Raja, and Kukot's called for the offensive foul. That is a big foul, and it's inside of this crowd. I hope we get to see it on replay, but Kukoc must have used his elbow to go around Andrew Vlahoff. There's no complaint from the bench. We'll see if we can see the right elbow. There it is, just came out there momentarily, but they just seem to let that go normally.
Well, they'll give attention to that if someone's going towards the basket, but in a half-court game, it's unusual for that to be called.
3-point shot from Shane Hill that falls off the front of the rim. Raja vacuums up the rebound and sends Croatia away again. Clinging to a 1-point lead, and Australia trying to get into it. Kukot's looking for Raja again. Ronaldson with the big job to try and stop him. Andrew Gaze trying to lend some help. They go on the outside, and Gaze has to go back on defense. Now Kukot's dumping down to the inside. Plenty of Australian bodies there, but they've picked out a foul. Referees looked at one another. It goes against Tony Ronaldson.
I think the quality of this game is demonstrated by the fact whenever there's a 3 or 4 point margin, it's almost like a 10-point margin in any other game. Getting a basket this end or the other end, it's similar to a breakthrough in tennis. And saving a basket here can be so important. Croatia had to work very hard to find the open play. Vlahoff was forced to foul in trying to defend the shot. And this guy's automatic.
Well, Australians, some key players starting to get into foul trouble now. With that third one against Ronaldson, 3 against Bradke and 3 against Vlahoff now. So that's the front line with 3 fouls apiece. For Croatia, Tony Kukoc has 3. And Josip Brankovic has 3. So off the free throw line, the Croatians extend the lead to 3. 54 plays 51.
This now becomes a big play.
Gaze looking to go back door, and they go outside to Heel. Ronaldson showing so much maturity. The players like Ronaldson and Heel, who haven't been in this situation before. Oh, big hook shot there coming from Mark Bradke. Saved by Ronaldson. 3-point shot from Gaze is offline, and Kukoc grabs the rebound. Alanovic for 3 for Croatia. Almost controlled, but not Shane Hill. He just didn't have his eyes on it, and well, encouragement there from coach Barry Barnes saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's okay, there's not much you can do about that, just in case he starts to get a little bit concerned about it. Komasets, the man who lit Croatia up in the first half to inspire that run. Dino Raja working in against Ronaldson, and Ronaldson forced a foul. That'll be number 4 on him. Now here's trouble. They'll go to the bench for Ray Borner, I would think. Tony Ronaldson looks towards the bench as Ray Borner gets up. As we watch the replay, There's so much pressure from the big man, Dino Raja, the Boston Celtics front court star, and Ronaldson takes a seat on the bench. Tony Ronaldson sits with 11 points, 4 fouls.
Well, that's a pity for Tony Ronaldson. He did a very good job on defensively on a very, very tough player. He needs to try to protect the baseline, but he did everything right. Just needed to try to withdraw from trying to block the shot on that. Just make the shot as hard as possible. Trust that he misses it. Once he gets the ball there, be physical. Try to avoid the foul. It's too late now. He's have 4 fouls and on the bench.
Is there another way of playing defense against him?
Well, you've got to try to restrict him the use of the ball as much as possible. Force him out a little bit further away from the basket so that he takes more of those yo-yo dribbles before he gets within range. And that's on Shane Hill.
Offensive foul on Shane Hill with a push-off, so the referee's being very, very consistent. The wry smile from Hill as he looked up at the referee and looked at the bench and said, yeah, I know I'm guilty. Vladan Alanovic. Australia could be in trouble here if, well, a turnover by the Croatians was fortunate because they led by 5 and another basket there would have given them a handy break.
Ray Borner got a break that time. He was defending Raja on the wrong side. He only had to hold the ball, and that would have probably been a dunk.
Blahoff springs loose Andrew Gaze. Bradke wants it down low and sets the back screen. Setting front screen this time, using his body well on the inside. Borner in low, good pass to Bradke, but he's under plenty of pressure in there, and 3 seconds is the call in the lane. A turnover.
He gave him 1 fake, he gave him 2 fakes. He wasn't going to allow the third.
So again, it's danger time, but Blahoff almost with a steal as a fairly casual Tony Kukoc didn't lead to the ball there. Look at the size that Heel's giving away against Alanovic. Pull-up jumper from the free throw line. Tomasets, who's really been the hero for Croatia in this game. It's a 7-point break. This is the area of the game with 12 and a half minutes remaining that Australia is going to have to dig so deep. Can't afford this team to get away from them. You just will not be able to reel them in. 3-point shot from Blahoff that's short. And Kukoc sets Croatia up again. Again, it's Raja. How many times has he got away on the fast break? They clean it up for a second effort. Kukoc steps to the hoop. Raja again for 2. And a steal.
No.
Ray Borner through the pass to Tomasets. Raja again. Now there's big trouble. 11-point game. The crowd has gone crazy. We can't see the game for Croatian flags.
Well, that was the big danger I was concerned about with the Australian team.
A travel called against Andrew
Gaze. They wanted to try to get this lead back too quickly. Push the ball inside, take the early shot, try and force the break. Leads to an error that is deadly, deadly serious against a team of this calibre.
And look at this crowd go absolutely crazy as they realise Croatia, even though we're 11 and a half minutes out from the end of the game, may have just pinched a winning break right there. Australia have been playing with them and taken the lead in the first half and really came at them strongly in the early part of the second half, but that 11-point lead is going to be very difficult to pull in a game the way the game is being played. An 11-point lead, not normally a big lead, Lindsay, but in this one it is.
That's right, because scoring is so difficult yourself. You know that every time you score, it's a bonus with this level of defense. And isn't it amazing that just 2 relatively minor errors. In normal circumstances, you would allow that. A rather ill-advised shot from Andrew Blahoff, and at the other end, an ill-advised attempt to try to make a transition basket from Ray Borner on that pass. 2 errors turns a competition where there's only 6 points to difference into what appears to be a blowout. 11 points is not normally a blowout, but against a team of this level, when scoring is so difficult, it's now going to be very, very hard for us to work this back again. But I think the message will be, don't expect to be able to get this back straight away. It's going to take a lot of work it back 1 basket at a time, save a basket, make a basket, be a little bit more be precise about the half-court game to get the man open. We have to identify who is the target. who is the man that's going to get it done? Is it to be Bradke on the inside, Andrew Gaze on the outside, Shane Heal to take the perimeter shot when the defence is drawn inside? There's got to be a pattern to how we're going to score.
Well, that pattern hopefully will have been established in the last minute and a half, but gee, this guy Dino Raja is the man who's done all the damage. 23 points against his name. I'm amazed, Lindsay, at how he's been able to get out on the end of the fast break at his size.
Well, when you've got other players capable of rebounding as well, and with his foot speed and power, that's not too surprising. But I give a lot of credit to Komasic as well. He's batting 100%. He hasn't missed yet. So you've got that sort of efficiency in your game. You've got a hell of a weapon.
Yes, a very powerful weapon that has given Croatia an 11-point margin in this game as they go to Raja again. This time he misses. And oh, gee, that was almost cut out too. Andrew Gaze showing the dribble there to Alanovic and keeping it alive, driving to the hoop and scoring two. And he had the opportunity to stop and prop and hit the three, but went for the percentage play. Just as you were talking about, and they go into look like a 1-3-1 zone alignment here.
Yes, they've got to do something because they're getting too much advantage from the Croatians from that power game. Raja needs to be contained by more than one player. They can do that better in the zone. At least get a look at it and see what they do against it.
They can't hit the outside shot, and that's always the danger when you're playing a zone. But this is the sort of team that can hit plenty from out there. Kukoc lines up outside, Vrankovic on the inside. They'll make the targets inside to open someone on the exterior. The long bomb goes up, and you talk about a miss. There's one from Komasic. They force them into the outside shot and a miss, which is the object of that zone defence. Now let's see if Australia can score at the other end. Gaze to Heal in a two-man game. Borna setting the screens on the cut. Sets the screen for Andrew Gaze, but they surround him. Keeping his dribble alive. Running some time off the clock. It's down to 5 seconds to go. They have to be aware of the clock. Gaze is. And hits the three. So Andrew Gaze in 2 plays gets 5 back of that 11 points. It's 62 plays 56.
Perhaps that was the instruction of that timeout, to try and find the target. Andrew might have been given the licence to make something happen.
Gaze now has 19 points for Australia. They keep that zone going, why shouldn't they? But that's the thing that can hurt them. From the corner, Komasic, he missed with one, but he didn't miss the second. Gaze to Borna, 8-point break again. Australia with all the work to do. Croatia maintains their man-to-man defence, and Australia trying to set the picks. Very difficult to set picks against players this size because it is very wearing on the body. And hey, Shane Heal turns it over. Away goes Komasic again. Lays it in for 2 more. And Ariane Komasic has 19 points for Croatia.
Well, Shane Heal under pressure there made the mistake of putting the ball to the floor. The quick hands of the defence was able to find a steal there, and they are just so effective at punishing you for a mistake.
So after they got it back to 6, Australia, it's now a 10-point break again. 66 plays 56. 8 minutes 40 left on the clock. Bradke takes on the defence. Nothing doing, and it will change of mind almost from the referee. I thought he pointed 2 ways. In fact, I'm sure he pointed Australia's way. But Australia knew it was out off them. They went to the other end. And a change in the lineup. In comes Danko Sveticanin. So an indication of the sort of pressure Croatia is on here. They're not going right deep into the bench. Australia has used 8 players. Similarly, Croatia, 3-point shot. Not that time for Ariane Komasic.
Well, Sveticanin's in there to try to punish Australia's zone defence. He's a very smart player, plays in Madrid actually in the Spanish National League. Noted for his 3-point shooting.
Borna to Heal. Blahov in the corner to Borna as Australia spreads the offence out. Almost a shot there for Bradkey, but it was out of his range. 3-point bomb from Shane Heal is off the front of the rim. Bradkey pokes it back up there for another 2.
And those offensive rebounds have been fairly scarce the second half.
Well, Mark Bradkey, who had half a dozen rebounds at the break, has 8 now, so he's only been able to grab 2 in 12 minutes of the second half. Australia keeping the zone going, trying to force the Croatians to shoot from the outside. Stepping to the hoop. That man Komasets again. It's another way to break up a zone. Step through the seams.
The worry about this for Australia as well is that they can't force the pressure on that. Croatia is able to use a little bit of the clock each time. There's not much pressure on them in the way that they can handle the ball around the perimeter of the zone, be selective on the penetration. It's a big ask for Australia to stay in that zone for very long.
Bradkey made the effort to go to the hoop and just wasn't able to finish it off, but Komasets on the end of the break again, and 2 more. The Croatian fans go nuts at Maple Leaf Gardens. 12-point lead again. Heartbreaking for the Aussies when they work so hard at one end, lose the ball, and it comes back at you so quickly. Gaze ignores the screen from Borna. Into the corner to Vlahoff. Good ball movement from Australia, but just as good a block from Brankovic. As Kukot's out there on Gaze, ready to double team into every opportunity. A good drive from Andrew Gaze to flip it up, and a tip on the end of it. So just some tremendous skill there from Andrew Gaze to go around one of the premier players in the world in Tony Kukoc. Sure, he missed the layup, but had the presence of mind to go back and stick it in.
I think that was almost like a self-assist. The shot was a prayer.
I think the dad's being a little bit critical here, but we'll leave him to it. Underneath to Brankovic. One of the very few opportunities that Stoyan Brankovic has had, and he slams it down the hole to get this big crowd going again. Long bomb goes up. Shane Heal for 3. 72 plays 63. So Australia keep it under double figures. Remember, this is a team that beat them in Barcelona by 40 points.
Time's running out a little bit for the Australians as well. With the 5 minutes to go, it's now 11 points for difference. Each time down the floor, it's absolutely essential for Australia to prevent Croatia from scoring. And equally, each time down the floor, they need to score themselves just to get it level.
The 3-point shot was blocked, and Mark Bradkey picked up the scraps and sticks it back in.
Now they must save this basket.
What a good garbage man that he is. 74 plays 65, and 2 players have 48 points in total for Croatia. 25 points to Raja, 23 to Komasets. In the corner, Lindsay Gaze talked about Danko Svetichanin to come in and shoot against the zone. That's what he did. He had a 3. Again, that 12-point break. They've had it out to 12 a couple of times. Now Bradkey shoots from long range, and that will be out of bounds and hit the support at the back of the backboard, and it will be a Croatian ball from the backcourt.
Well, Barry Barnes wasn't too pleased at Mark Bradkey taking that shot from the 15-feet range. That shot is almost impossible to rebound against a team like Croatia, and really they want Bradkey inside to do the rebounding himself. But I think you've got to excuse Mark on that occasion. He was open. Any open shot is a bonus for Australia at this stage. And there really wasn't too much to lose with 12 points down, 4 minutes to play. They will have to gamble, but I don't think they can stay in the zone any longer, because Croatia will be quite content to spread the floor, use the ball each time down the floor, isolate the man. They've got 2 or 3 players. They've got at least 3 players that are capable of making the 3-pointer. So there's 2 choices. One is to keep battling away, to keep the scores respectable, or to go for broke, put some pressure there, try to force a mistake, see if they can narrow it and save it.
Interesting on the Croatian bench, Lindsay. someone we've been watching for a few years, Mirko Novosel, down there on the bench, and he's having as much to say in the timeouts as any of the coaching staff. Of course, Mirko coached the Yugoslavian team for many, many years.
Yes, well, I know him very well. We're good friends, and
there he is in the background there, the man with the balding head.
The minute for sport in Croatia. Although he stepped aside from coaching on a permanent basis, he just still can't get too far away from it. So he's giving a fair amount of instructions here. The players, of course, respect him. He's a very knowledgeable man in world basketball. And I think much of the credit for the advancement of the old Yugoslavian basketball and now Croatia goes to Mirko Novosel.
Well, the players are back on the court now. 12-point break. See, Andrew Gaze has been given a rest. And Damien Keogh has come in. Tony Ronaldson back in there playing with 4 fouls. So there's Andrew Gaze. He's sitting at the moment. Sitting with, well, they've taken his point count down, but it's certainly over the 20-point area. And the lineup Australia's got out there now is Vlahoff, Ronaldson, Keogh, Bradke and Smythe. So Shane Heal on the bench as well. Vlahoff renews his battle out there with Tony Kukoc.
Well, Kukoc loves this. He can play one-on-one out there at the centre line with anyone. They'll just use the clock.
Underneath.
Parrott.
They go and find the hands of Svetichanin that time.
Well, that's a worry. That's a mismatch with Phil Smythe trying to guard Svetichanin close to the basket like that.
14-point break is the biggest of the ball game. 79 plays 65, and with 3 minutes 20 out from the end. Vlahoff tries his hand with a 3. Run down by Dino Raja, and they're in no hurry at all now, Croatia. They know they can use up 30 seconds on every play and reduce this game to about 10 more possessions. And 10 more possessions will make it very, very difficult for Australia to get back in. That's 5 apiece. And Australia trail by 14. Smythe got a hand on that, trying to run it down, and lucky not to get that ball back. But there's only 1 second left on the shot clock. Damien Keogh pointing it out to Smythe. And timeout has been called. This is an interesting situation. Lindsay, when you bring the ball in, they're going to have to hurl the ball down to someone to shoot it straight away as soon as they touch it.
It's interesting, but no problem to see. Croatia would be quite content to use 30 seconds every time down the floor. The game is safe for them now. It's just a matter by how much. Australia can make a couple of plays to reduce the margin. Croatia will be at ease right now with Kukoc capable of playing one-on-one out the centre. You really have to gamble. You can't afford to leave him out. If you're serious about trying to reverse the scores, you've got to get out there on Kukoc and get the ball out of his hands somehow. But what happens after that is really not much of a bonus either, because it'll open up someone else. And with the depth of talent that Croatia's got there, Svetichanin, Brankovic, Raja can all take it to the basket one at a time. This margin has been created in just 2 or 3 minutes of errors. Without that 2 or 3 minutes, it goes to the wire. It just shows you the quality of the competition here, that this team is capable of providing you with that sort of a punishment with just a couple of errors. But it's been a very good game for Australia. They'll finish the game with some flair and fire here the last couple of minutes, and they won't lose anything from morale out of this match.
I only hope they can keep it around this margin. If they are to lose the game, that they can keep it around the 14 points, because they deserve to. They've worked hard enough to get it to this area, and we've talked before about the game in Barcelona 2 years ago where they lost to this team by 40 points. They can take a great deal of heart out of this effort. There's that long pass down. Didn't find anybody, so they just wasted the 1 second on the clock, and they won't be too concerned about that, I wouldn't think. But it does mean Australia get the ball back in the front court, because nobody touched it on the way through. Smythe out there. Vlahoff working the ball down low to try and take advantage of Komasets, but down the middle for Mark Bradke, and rolls it in for 2. Nice move from the big man. And we got it back to a 12-point game.
Now it's out of Kukoc's hand. You want to make sure he doesn't get it back again.
Comacets, he
too late.
does. Well, they can only double team so many. As you mentioned before, someone's got to be open every time you do it. Vlahov trying to foul Kukoc. Raja.
What this is, it's showing a great deal of respect for Australian basketball, for Croatia basically to freeze the ball in the last couple of seconds. It's a very fine credit to Australian basketball that it forces Croatia to do that.
Lindsay Comacets, who just scored his 25th point. He's really been the wild card in this game.
Well, I don't know about wild card. That suggests that it would be a surprise that he does that. He's a very, very talented player, very efficient. This is one of those games that brings out the best in the best.
Three-point shot from Smythe. What I meant by the wild card is they were expecting big things from Kukoc and Raja and Brankovic perhaps, but Comacets is just one of those many Croatian players that can come out and hurt you.
Yes, well, I think the other thing that's a tribute to Australian basketball as well is that Croatia has not gone deep to the bench, that they've just gone with their 6 or 7 players. They've all been very, very fine talent. They play so well together, they're so experienced, and every player is capable of completing all aspects of the game. Passing, rebound, very efficient shooting. They know the game so well.
Alanovic gets it into the hand of Kukoc, and they foul again, as Australia trying to foul and put Croatia at the free throw line to get the one-on-one situation. In fact, interesting right here, Australia meaning to do that, but the Croatian coach up off the bench saying, hey, that's got to be one-on-one. Chance to give the ball up, but Andrew Vlahov's 4th foul. He's played with 3 fouls for a long, long time and puts Kukoc at the stripe. And just because Kukoc is there, the crowd starts to scream, but he lets them down by missing off the free throw line. 14-point game. Ronaldson looking for a quick 3. Can't get it. And it falls in the hands of Vlahov. Backing it back, Damien Keogh. That was a nervous shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been
He
sitting
didn't really want to take it. He wanted to give it back to Andrew Vlahov if he could.
Sitting on the bench for about 35 minutes in this game and then coming out to take a shot like that in a game of this magnitude. It's a tough one to try and make. And even the experience of Damien Keogh, the Sydney Kings guard, put up one of his worst shots. 65 seconds to go. Smythe, look at the size against Tony Kukoc, and the ball handling ability of the big man too. 6'9" and handles the ball like a little kid. Smythe runs this down. They got numbers down the floor this time. 5 on 3 if they can use it. Inside they go to Vlahov. Gets rid of his defensive man, and no basket. Travel's called. Travel called by the referee from the USA, and Andrew Vlahov couldn't believe it. David Claxton, the assistant coach, up there with Barry Barnes to try and restrict Croatia here. Down the middle they go. 39 seconds left. All the way to the hoop for 2. We've got a 16-point game. The flags all over the place here, and try and keep track of this game on the monitor, because there's absolutely no way you can see it from our commentary position. Stuck in a sea of flags. And in fact, the cameras can't see it. We have to go to this shot for you. That will obviously be an offensive foul on Phil Smythe, who gives it up. Trouble for television this game, and well, Barry Barnes can be well satisfied. You can see the look on David Claxton's face, even though they're 16 points down with 1 play to go. He knows that this is one of Australian basketball's finer moments. Reverse the 40-point thrashing in Barcelona to show that they can play with a team like Croatia. Down the middle again, Dino Raja into the hands of Bradke. A chance for Australia to score before it finishes. 7 seconds to go.
Oh,
Mark Bradke for 3. He thought he'd dribbled it that far. Might as well. 2 points go to Damien Keogh to finish it off. And what a great way to finish. A 14-point victory for Croatia. But it can be a game where, well, virtually everybody can be happy.
Well, I think Australia can take a lot of credit for that game. They forced Croatia to play to their best, and I think out of this game there will be a lot of confidence for the games that they're coming up in the qualifying round. This means that Australia will meet the United States in the next game, then must win 2 of the other games in order to get to the medal round. Those other games will be a challenge for Australia, but after this one they can do that with confidence. Many good players in the game for Australia. Mark Brett, he started the game so well, did a lot of work, found it tough to keep it going in the second half. Andrew Gaze was a consistent threat throughout. Shane Hill made his moments from time to time, but a lot of the credit, of course, goes to Croatia with Komacec, Kukoc, Brankovic, and Roger was the man that really gave the Croatians the break in the first half. His power and strength and efficiency was too much to handle. Tomorrow, a day after Australia, then the United States. We can look forward to that with confidence.
Well, we trust everybody in Australia. Croatian fans, Australian fans alike have enjoyed that one. An entertainer here from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. This is Phil Lynch and Lindsay Gaze.